I'm Dan Coflin. Welcome to What the Bible Really Says. How many times have you heard someone say that the devil took 1/3 of the angels with him when he rebelled against God? I'm sure you've heard that preached or taught in numerous Bible classes. It's presented as common knowledge that everyone believes. But where do you find it in the Bible? Is it really in the Bible? And the answer to that question is no. So often people hear someone teach something that is presented as fact, and then they begin teaching the same thing, which then is passed on from person to person until people have heard it so often it is accepted as being factual. This idea of the devil persuading 1/3 of God's angels to follow him is derived from Revelation chapter 12, which says, "The dragon's tail drew 1/3 of the stars of heaven and cast them to the ground." But is that what the scripture really means? Is there any scripture that speaks of 1/3 of the angels following Satan in his rebellion? I don't find any. The stars of heaven are most often represented by the children of Israel. The promise to Abraham and Isaac was that their seed would be multiplied as the stars of heaven. Take a look at these examples from scripture. That in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven, at Genesis 22:17. And I will make your seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, Genesis 26:4. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swear by your own self, and said unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, Exodus 32:13. The Lord your God has multiplied you, and behold, you are this day as the stars of heaven for multitude. Deuteronomy 1:10. In Daniel chapter 8, verse 10, we read about a vision that Daniel had when he was at the palace in Shushan during the reign of Belshazzar, who was the last king of Babylon. And in this vision, Daniel saw a ram with 2 horns, and then a goat with 1 notable horn that ran into the ram and broke both of his horns. The goat reigned until his great horn was broken, and in its place 4 horns came up. And then a little horn came up that pushed against the east and the south and the land of Israel until it became great, even against the host of heaven. And it casts down some of the hosts of heaven and of the stars to the ground and trampled on them. The point here is that he cast down some of the hosts and of the stars to the ground and trampled on them. Daniel did not understand the vision, and so God sent the angel Gabriel to explain its meaning. The ram with 2 horns represents the kings of the Medes and the Persians. The goat is the king of Greece. And after the goat's great horn is broken, 4 other horns or kings come up in its place. From one of those kings would come one who would attempt to destroy the people of God and against the prince of princes, but he shall not succeed. So looking back in history, it's easy to understand this vision that was explained to Daniel. The Babylonians were defeated by the Medes and the Persians, the 2-horned ram. A king of the Greeks, the goat with 1 horn, would defeat them, and that was Alexander the Great. When the goat died, his horn was broken, and 4 horns or kings come up in its place. After Alexander died, his 4 generals divided his empire. 2 of these were important to Daniel's vision. Ptolemy was given control over Palestine and Egypt. Seleucus controlled Asia Minor and Syria and Mesopotamia. Eventually, one of the Seleucid kings, called Antiochus IV Epiphanes, he made war against the Ptolemaic king and defeated him, taking control of the land of Israel. And in his zeal to expand Greek culture and worship of the Greek gods, he entered the temple in Jerusalem and set up a statue of Jupiter in the most holy place. He caused the daily sacrifice to cease, and he desecrated the altar by offering a pig. The Jews raised arms against him, which was known as the Wars of the Maccabees. These conflicts and their outcomes are well documented in the 4 books of the Maccabees and by the historian Josephus. This event took place in the 2nd century before Jesus was born, but we can see that the symbolism is much the same as found in Revelation. The little horn that fought against the people of God to destroy them is seen casting some of the host and stars to the ground to trample them, much like the dragon who draws a third of the stars and casts them to the earth or the ground. This is not the devil convincing a third of the angels to rebel against God, but this casting down is to destroy the people of God. Revelation 12:4. The dragon is casting down the stars. The language here, as in Daniel 8, conveys the idea of a violent throwing down and not a persuasion to follow. This violent casting down is the same in Revelation 12:9, where the dragon was cast out with his angels. Yes, there are fallen or rebellious angels who follow Satan, and they were cast out of heaven, but we do not know how many there were. Notice that the war in heaven in verse 7 results in the devil losing his place and being cast out or cast down from heaven, where he, as the accuser of our brethren, accused them before God day and night. That's Revelation 12:10. When was the devil cast out of heaven? It was when Jesus went to the cross. He said, "Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out." John 12:31. The prince of the power of the air, found in Ephesians 2:2, or ruler or god of this world, 2 Corinthians 4:4, is the devil. What did he do? He accused the brethren before God day and night. But with the cross and the resurrection, Jesus, the man-child who was caught up unto God and his throne, paid the price for man's forgiveness and redemption. Now the devil has no more access to God to accuse man. At the cross of Jesus, the price was paid in full for mankind's redemption. And with the resurrection of Jesus, the devil was defeated. Revelation 12 is a review of all that Jesus accomplished for us. Were the angels that followed the devil in his rebellion against God? There were such angels? Well, yes, there were. Revelation 12:7 shows us that the dragon and his angels fought against Michael and his angels. Again, in verse 9, the devil was cast out into the earth and his angels. Jesus said that everlasting fire was prepared for the devil and his angels. Matthew 25:41. So yes, there were angels that followed Satan in his rebellion against God, but nowhere does it tell us how many followed him. I hope this teaching was helpful to you today, and you'll join me again for another broadcast of What the Bible Really Says.